Please pretend to be my dad for just one day. A Millionaire's incredible transformation reveal. Maya Thompson stared at the phone, readings of disbelief flooding her mind. If she could just blink the reality away, that text from her father, the man who abandoned her, who was now a millionaire in a world she never knew. Pitiless memories flooded back of her mother working 2 jobs while she stayed up late coding her dreams. Now she had forged a life of her own, a self-made entrepreneur in a Midwestern town where grit and unity triumphed over wealth. Yet a shadow loomed large, a lingering sense of insignificance compared to the old money that encircled her. Wasn't hard work supposed to speak for itself? With each tick of the clock, resentment churned alongside anxious curiosity about the man bearing her last name. The stark contrast between them felt almost unbearable. What could he possibly know about her life, about working clientele who still clung to hope, paying bills for another month? Please pretend to be my dad for just one day, she finally texted back, her heart racing. This could be a disaster. He might represent everything she resented. And yet, she desperately sought validation from this estranged figure. If he didn't understand the fabric of her struggles, would he ever grasp who she truly was? The morning of their meeting, a pit formed in her stomach as she approached Mulligan's diner. Sunlight filtered through the windows, illuminating the clientele she had seen daily. Hard-working people sharing laughter over coffee, dreams infused with ambition. Her fingers twitched against the grainy wood of the table as she anticipated his arrival. When he walked through the door, suit crisp, demeanor sharp, her heart sank even further. His eyes scanned the diner, an air of arrogance betraying his thoughts. Warm greetings from the waitress barely registered as he settled into the booth across from her. But that woman, juggling orders with a smile, reflected the lengths real people went to just to get by. "Pancakes, right?" she chimed, and Maya couldn't help but cringe. Did he shrink back from understated authenticity? "And a protein shake," he replied, dashing her hope and flooding her with unease. How could he see beyond the silver platter lifestyle he'd chosen? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. She felt the tension deepen as they moved to Jerry's farm, an oasis of hard labor surrounded by the whispers of corn and the scent of hay. With every step taken through the fields, the history weighed heavily on her father's shoulders. She watched his expression shift, but could he grasp the sacrifices made here? Families fighting to keep their land, struggling against forces he had set into motion. When they reached the public school, her heart raced. Was he ready for the truth? As he cursorily dismissed the inequities laid bare around them, his flippant remarks felt like daggers. "This place is so broke," he quipped, sending shockwaves through Maya. Every word hung heavily, a piercing arrow aimed not only at her community, but her lifelong quest for kinship. "Are you really that blind?" Maya snapped, the emotional roller coaster spiraling. "Can you even see what your choices have cost?" The air crackled with tension, each passing moment fraying the thread of their connection. Maya fought against the wave of bitterness surging through her. Could sorrow and anger finally force them into common ground, or would his detachment bury them beneath unyielding weight? Her heart clenched as the revelation from an elder echoed anew in her mind. What was he truly willing to confront? The line drawn in the sand seemed as unmovable as the scars of their past. In that agonizing moment, she stood teetering, not just between anger and forgiveness, but witnessing the chasm between their lives widen before her very eyes. Would their day end as a fracture or a bridge? What if this was just the beginning? As shadows of unease loomed, Maya felt the doubt swell, threatening to drown out hope for reconciliation. Could this whirlwind day lead to resolution, or was it another page unwritten, where the truth remained forever lost? Maya took a deep breath, the crisp air filling her lungs as they stood in the schoolyard, its sun-faded swings a stark reminder of childhood innocence. She stared down at her feet, struggling with the weight of the moment. Could she route her emotions towards something constructive, or was it too late to alter the narrative? As she assessed the distance between them, her father appeared oddly unmoved, oblivious to the surging tide that threatened to sweep her away. Would he ever look beyond the facade of his wealth to see the real impact of his choices? "Let's sit," Maya said abruptly, gesturing to a weathered bench near the playground. The space felt symbolic, fractured, just like their relationship. Reluctantly, he sat down, his posture rigid, hands clasped over his knees. He seemed to sense the gravity of her intentions, yet remained cloaked in arrogance, unwilling to share the vulnerability of their reunion. "Do you even know what happens here?" she began, trying to rein in the emotions that flickered like an unseen flame. "Children come to this school with nothing, no background support, no safety net. It's a different world, you know." He met her gaze, the gleam of recognition flickering, then retreating. "Life is about hard choices. I made mine, didn't I?" His tone was defensive, and Maya could almost hear the walls he built around himself. "Yes, but at what cost?" Each word felt like a nudge against the hard shell encasing his heart. "You left, abandoned me. I grew up without the basics of what a father should provide." She paused, hoping her voice didn't crack, yet feeling the heaviness of unprocessed feelings surge forward. "Did you ever think about how your decisions affect those who can't choose otherwise?" Instead of an open dialogue, he deflected. "I am who I am because I didn't let that hold me back. I succeeded." His posturing only made the pain deeper, vulnerable yet unaware. "But you don't get it. You could have been part of something, part of me." The swell of desperation prickled at her confidence. She was dancing on a tightrope, and it was terrifying. Did she really want to scrape back the layers, to unearth the raw wounds of her upbringing? A flicker of something, fear perhaps, or comprehension, crossed his eyes. For a moment, the facade slipped. "I had to prioritize," he admitted, his voice quieter. "That hasn't made my choices any easier." "Prioritize what?" Her voice was firm, challenging, unwilling to soften the hard truths that clung to the air like humidity. In that moment, she recognized a tremor within him, a crack in the very armor that had protected him for years. Encouraged, her curiosity flared. What else would emerge from this encounter? As they sat there, each breath felt charged with potential. Maybe this confrontation could spark a shift, one he didn't recognize he needed. "I didn't want to fail you, too," he whispered finally, his voice barely audible. Raw honesty intermingled with regret hung between them, fusing into something she hadn't anticipated, truth. Maya grappled with the emotional weight of his admission, a glimmer of vulnerability swaying her. It was a paradox. This revelation could either be the foundation for repair, or a pitfall forged from bitterness. "Then let's stop talking about the past. Let's build for the future," she proposed, her mind racing with ideas for reconnection. But what this really meant was something undefined and uncertain. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows, the implications of their conversation weighed heavily on her. Would he invest in the hard work it would take to traverse this raw relationship? Or would he retreat back into his comfort, letting this moment slip away like so many before? Maya's heart pounded with uncertainty, yet a flicker of hope ignited, the promise of what could develop. The deep fissure between them might just transform into a pathway. But would her father step forward or retreat into the safety of avoidance once again? The ground beneath their feet felt unstable, and Maya wondered if they were on the brink of something significant or simply treading water in an ocean of unresolved history. With that, Maya turned to face him. The time has come to face who we are together. Will you take that step with me? His response would determine the direction
of their lives from this point onward, veering towards healing or destruction. What path would her father choose? Maya's heart raced as she watched her father's expression shift. The rigidity in his posture wavered, and for the first time, she saw a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. The man who had always exuded confidence was now confronted with the reality of his decisions. They lingered in an uneasy silence. Each tick of the clock on a nearby building felt like a countdown, pressing in on them with relentless momentum. "Building for the future," he echoed, almost to himself, and the weight of those words hung in the air. She could see him grappling internally, wrestling with the challenge she had laid before him. Maya's chest tightened. This moment held immense potential, but it also carried the threat of further disappointment. "Let's start small," she suggested, pulling from her years of conflict resolution training. "What if we set aside a day to just be? No distractions, no grand expectations. We spend it together and we'll see where it goes." The faintest crease formed on his brow. "A day?" "Yes, just one day. Pretend to be my dad." Her voice held a fragile balance of hope and courage. She could feel herself teetering on the brink of decision, a decision to leap into the unknown or to retreat into familiar despair. "Just one day where you participate, engage with me, as if you had always been there." The mere thought felt ludicrous, yet she pushed through. If she could get him to consider her proposition, perhaps they could start to foster the relationship she had long craved. Could he be the father she needed, even if just for a single day? His sigh echoed her frustration. "This isn't a game, Maya. You don't know what you're asking of me." "Maybe I don't," she shot back, surprised by her own boldness. "But you've spent a lifetime making choices without understanding their impact on me. Wouldn't one day of effort to grasp who I am be worth it? Don't you owe that much to both of us?" He struggled against the urge to retreat, the walls he'd carefully constructed beginning to show signs of instability. "I don't even know what that would look like." "Neither do I," Maya admitted, her voice softening. "But I want to find out. You've always been the strong one, but vulnerability can be powerful too. Acknowledging mistakes, stepping into unknown territory, there's strength in that." Was this her dilemma? Forcing him into a space where he could potentially fail? She had one slight whiff of hope, wishing he could find something to cling to in this turbulent experience. The desire to forge connection battled against the fear of rejection that gnawed at her. "Just one day," she reinforced, trying to keep her conviction steady. "No expectations, just moments. We can walk, talk, even laugh, if that's possible. I need you to try." For the first time since they had sat down, he faltered, looking away from her, as if the sun glaring overhead had become too bright for comfort. She could almost hear the cogs of his mind whirring, an internal dialogue brimming with doubt and regret. "Okay," he finally said, almost as if it pained him to utter the word. "I'll give it a shot." Maya felt a rush of relief mingled with disbelief. The slight curve of his lips suggested something softer beneath the hardened shell. Yet, as he agreed, a different concern clawed at her. What if one day wasn't enough? Could they even hope to build a future on the fragile foundation of one day? "Let's set a date," she suggested, her determination bolstered. "Next Saturday." He hesitated again, the resolve they had just built beginning to waver as reality washed over them both. "Can I really do this?"
he asked, vulnerability seeping through his typically resolute demeanor. I don't know, she confessed, but we won't find out unless we try. I need you to show up for me, as I will show up for you. As they locked eyes, Maya felt a cascade of emotions wash over her: fear, hope, and the beginnings of a fragile determination. What was she doing making such bold moves? But beyond the uncertainty, she could sense a flicker of promise, the hint of something that could bridge years of disconnection. Maya was steeped in her thoughts when it struck her. This commitment would demand more than mere presence. It required arduous honesty and deep introspection. It would expose wounds, perhaps create new ones, all while forging potential paths toward understanding. But as Saturday approached, would the resolve they ignited endure, or would the ghosts of the past engulf them once more? The days leading up to Saturday crept slowly, stretching time like a taut wire, vibrating with expectation. Maya could hardly concentrate on her work, her mind oscillating between excitement and dread. Each morning brought with it a growing sense of urgency. She felt ill-prepared for the emotional labyrinth ahead. Would they truly be able to forge a bond over shared experiences? Or would the weight of their history crush this budding hope before it even had a chance to bloom? With every tick of the clock, Maya initiated a mental checklist. How should she approach their day? What questions could spark meaningful conversations without drawing his defenses? In her quiet moments, she repeated affirmations. She was not merely inviting him to share a day. She was demanding a reconsideration of their life together. It felt less like a gamble and more like a declaration of war against years of unresolved pain. Then a thought flickered, sparking her resolve. A day of revelations, she muttered to herself as she focused on the conversations that needed to happen. Unexpected insights would burst forth if she laid the groundwork. But how could she encourage her father to lower the shields he had held up for so long? Seeking advice from her friends and crafting a plan formed part of
her coping strategy. They emphasized the importance of honesty and not veering away from tough subjects, however uncomfortable. But would he recognize his part in this dance of vulnerability? The question spiraled in her mind on the night before their appointed day. Did she possess even an inkling of the tools needed to navigate this relationship? She spent hours rehearsing potential scenarios. Their first meeting with a coffee shop setting could serve as a neutral ground for exploration. But the fear of an impending rupture gnawed at her. Finally, Saturday dawned. The morning light offered an ironic contrast, bright and full of promise, while her stomach twisted anxiously. She wore her favorite sundress, a token of her determination. A small part of her held on to the fantasy that this choice of attire could coax an openness from him. She kept glancing at her phone, timing each notification against the seconds rolling on the clock. Moments felt like ages as she awaited his arrival. When he finally walked through the cafe door, the tension in the air thickened. Had he prepared? Maya's heart leapt into her throat as she noticed the tentative line of his shoulders, betraying the myriad emotions he was possibly hiding. "Hi," he said softly, offering a tentative smile as he took a seat. "Hi," she replied, reflecting the shyness that echoed through both their voices. The initial pleasantries felt hollow, a rehearsed play with no audience, until she steered the conversation toward lighter topics. How work had treated her, the projects she had undertaken. He responded with polite interest, but Maya longed for depth beyond the surface glances. "Dad," she murmured, her voice firmer now. "Can we be real today? I want moments that matter." The directness of her words hung heavily in the air. She could see his eyes widen slightly, surprise etched in his features. "What do you mean?" He shifted uncomfortably, a hint of his old defensive posture creeping back. "I mean, I want us to talk without the history overshadowing us. We've been tiptoeing around each other for too long." She held her breath, watching for his reaction, the vulnerability resounding between them in a way that felt both alien and agonizingly familiar. He gazed into his coffee cup, as though searching for answers among the dark liquid. "I guess I've never known how to start,"
he finally admitted. There it was, a crack in the facade, a shred of honesty she hadn't anticipated. In that moment, the intensity of her hope soared. Perhaps they were embarking on a journey both needed, with the possibility to redefine their relationship with each honest exchange. Maya leaned in, ready to uncover layers she had nearly given up on exploring. Still, the shadows of doubt lurked close, threatening to disrupt her fragile momentum. Would he embrace this journey toward understanding, or would old habits sink them before they got off the ground? As she opened her mouth to speak again, a sudden realization struck her, a reminder that her own
Past experiences could either guide them or complicate their efforts. How could she help him see their shared journey without the baggage? "Let's just talk," she began, determined not to let fear dictate their day. "Like we're two people trying to learn about each other." Her heart raced anew as she watched his defenses falter, wondering if together they could finally face what lay beneath their tangled history. But as the conversation deepened, a shadow in the cafe caught her eye, sending an unexpected chill down her spine. Was it someone from her past, waiting to confront her on this delicate day? Maya felt her breath catch as she turned toward the source of her unease. The flickering overhead lights cast a brief shadow over a familiar face. Keith, her high school classmate. A mix of nostalgia and slight embarrassment washed over her. She had never expected to see someone from her past here, in this moment that felt so pivotal, so layered with vulnerability. As Keith approached their table, her father's gaze instinctively followed, fixation etched in his features. She could sense the tension shift. A delicate rift opened wider between her intentions and the reality of interruption. "Hey, Maya." Keith's casual way felt jarring amid the gravity of her conversation with her father. She pasted on a neutral smile, partly relieved to see a face she once knew, yet wholly frustrated at the timing. "Hey, Keith," she replied, forcing lightness into her tone. "What brings you here?" He leaned against the table, oblivious to the charged atmosphere. "Just grabbing coffee with a friend. How about you? Looks like you're having a family reunion." He gestured vaguely, eyes glancing from Maya to her father, who remained silently observing, an inscrutable wall. "Yes, just catching up," Maya offered, uncomfortable with the way Keith had inadvertently illuminated the space between them, a gap steeped in unresolved emotions. "Nice, we should all hang out sometime," he suggested, too casually for her liking, as if they could slip back into simpler interactions without those heavy undercurrents. Maya could feel the sharpness of her father's scrutiny intensify as Keith lingered. Every minute felt like a countdown, as she silently willed the encounter to end. The warmth of possibility faded, crushed under the weight of nostalgia that had once been a truth she could acknowledge, and now felt like an unwelcome visitor. "Actually," Maya interjected, her tone firmer, "we were in the middle of something." The boldness surprised her, an act of reclaiming the conversation. Realization flickered in Keith's eyes, although he tried not to let it show. "Oh, right, no worries. I'll let you two get to it. Nice seeing you, Maya." He smiled and walked away, leaving a lingering tension that carved into the fabric of their shared table. Maya turned back to her father, reactions churning fiercely within her. I didn't mean," she started, but he lifted a hand to halt her words. "I understand," he said slowly, an emotional edge to his voice that hinted at his internal struggle. "That was unexpected." "Yes, Keith knew me during a time when it felt easier to connect with people," she replied, sidestepping the pain of that simplification. "But today isn't about anyone else." He nodded, tracing the rim of his coffee cup with a finger, eyes flickering between reflection and the present moment. "It feels like everyone has a history. I guess I didn't realize yours was so intertwined." "Maybe we both have histories that intertwine in ways we didn't expect," she said, feeding their mutual realization. What began as a nervous prospect began to unfold into a more profound reckoning. "What do we even say?" he asked, the question hanging heavily. "We say we're ready to face each other," she replied, tapping into the resolve she had formed in the days leading up to this moment. "Let's not let anyone else's expectations dictate this. This is about us." He glanced at her, and for the first time, she noticed the veil lifting, as if he took a breath deeper than the surface level. "Okay, let's try then," he murmured. "I have questions," she ventured, her tone equal parts risky and hopeful. "I want to know how you feel about the things that happened." "Like how I never showed up," he acknowledged, voice thick with regret. "I should have been there for you, and I didn't know how to be." "Why didn't you know?" she pressed, feeling the catharsis begin to fracture the protective layers surrounding them. "I thought not talking would protect you. It was my failed shield," he confessed, inner turmoil now layering the words. "But I realized it only created more distance." For each answer revealed, Maya felt a small crack negate the decade-long wall between them. Yet it was clear, this was just the beginning of uncovering a deeper truth. Suddenly, the shadow from earlier moved within her line of sight again, confidence evaporating from her father's demeanor. Maya turned, heart racing, realizing the past wasn't done confronting her just yet. "Do you recognize that person?" her father whispered, eyes narrowing in recognition. As she looked back into the crowd, every detail of certainty faltering in her chest, Maya prepared for an encounter she had not anticipated, knowing it could challenge everything she hoped to rebuild. "Regardless of what happens next, I need to find out who I am, who we are now," she murmured to herself, bracing for confrontation. The time had come for them to face the truth, whatever it might bring. Maya gulped as she focused on the figure weaving through the crowd. Each stride seemed to instill a blend of dread and determination within her. The familiar face took shape, a former colleague of her father's. Questions cascaded in her mind. What was he doing here? Did her father, burdened by the weight of the past, want to avoid a painful reminder? As the man approached, she could feel her father's body tautening beside her. This was not merely a chance meeting. It was a confrontation of ghosts that were supposed to have been buried. Keith's presence had been just a shockwave, a reminder of youthful connections now fraught with complications. But this was direct contact with her father's world, a world filled with disappointment and unspoken truths. Maya squared her shoulders, silently urging her father to act. But instead, he seemed rooted to the spot, as if uncertain of how to engage with someone from a past he had closed off. The man's eyes settled on Maya, glimmering with uncertainty as recognition struck. "Mr. Elder," he greeted her father with an undertone of reluctance. Maya could sense the tremor in her parent's hand as he took a sip of coffee, averting his gaze. "David." The simple acknowledgement felt like a challenge, a standoff between their intertwined histories. "Long time no see," David continued, his voice probing, cautious yet infused with a knowledge that tested their shared burden. "I heard you were coming back to town." All Maya could do was observe. She was the silent witness to a connection fraught with unresolved tension. But as she glanced at her father, she felt a stirring inside her, the need to forge a new path, a growth she couldn't ignore. "Let's not make this awkward," she decided, cutting into the suffocating silence. "Can we clear the air? We're all here. It seems like a good opportunity, doesn't it?" Her suggestion of transparency hung in the air. Her father looked at her, surprise flickering across his face. "Are you sure?" His tone carried disbelief, as if he couldn't fathom her willingness to draw back the curtains on their past. "Yes," she confirmed, infusing her answer with the conviction she'd found over the past few days. "I'd like to know everything, so we can finally move forward. No more secrets." David nodded, a grudging respect gleaming in his eyes. "I didn't think I'd see this side of you, Maya. You've grown up a lot since those days." "I'm trying to," she said, leaning in more. "Let's address what needs to be addressed." The idea of confronting their past felt daunting, like standing at the edge of a cliff, but the thrill of potential change drove her. Her father sighed, a long, audible exhale that released some of the heavy tension of the moment. "What should we start with?"
Maya could barely stifle the sense of relief that flooded her. "By discussing your choices," she challenged, eyes lockstep with his. "Why do you think ignoring the past makes it disappear?" "Because some battles aren't worth fighting," he replied, defensiveness creeping in. "Or maybe you've just hidden too long," she shot back. An ember of frustration ignited a counterattack. "How does this help me understand who I am today, what I want?" "Finding who we are isn't solely about the past," David interjected. "It's also about the choices we make in the present." Maya regarded the familiar moment of parrying
And counter-parry as a shift began within her. She was no longer the uncertain daughter. She was asserting a voice that demanded honesty. "Right," she breathed, her determination steadying. "But denying our past limits those choices. I want to know how I can help us create something new from the remnants of what was." Silence stretched as the three of them exchanged glances, unspoken language flowing between them. The yearning for resolution, the need for healing, and the desire for connection. Just as their eyes met in understanding, a sudden holler from a nearby table broke the moment, a loud, eager voice pushing forth in laughter, the kind that felt starkly out of place. Maya turned, pulse racing once more, startled by a fresh wave of intrusion. She realized right then that the confrontation wasn't just with her father or David. It extended beyond their collective histories, reaching into deeper, more personal territories, layers of life that still needed unraveling. "More surprises, I guess," she mused out loud. "The past really wants to be heard." With a newfound resolve, Maya looked back at her father. "We can face this together," she said, voice steadying further. "Whatever comes next, I'm ready." But even as the words escaped, an unsettling thought flickered at the corner of her mind. Had they truly opened a pathway toward resolution? Or was it just another step into chaos? The next moment was poised to shatter the fragile truce they formed. With that tension lingering like a storm cloud, Maya braced herself, aware that while she had opened one door, myriad others awaited her, each holding answers, questions, and perhaps unexpected revelations about not just her past, but her potential future. The critical decision to walk through that door loomed closer by the second. The air crackled, and Maya felt the weight of unfinished business resting heavily on her shoulders. She turned her focus from the intruding laughter back to her father, his furrowed brow betraying a torrent of emotions. How long had they hidden behind avoidance? She was no longer willing to let secrets fester, ready to dig deeper for the truth buried beneath their history. "Dad," she said, her voice steady yet soft, "what do you wish you could tell me? What parts of your past did you decide I shouldn't know?" The hesitation that cloaked him was palpable. He took a moment, pulling back from the edge of uncertainty, creating an abyss that threatened to swallow them whole. She could see a flicker of fear in his eyes, the fear of what revelations might do not only to them, but to the very fabric that held their family together. "I wanted to shield you, Maya," he finally said, each word measured. "I thought if you didn't know, you'd be safe from the burdens that come with understanding my choices." "Safe or just sheltered?" she countered, injecting urgency into her words. "You can't keep treating me like a child. I am trying to grow, to understand. The truth, however painful, would give me clarity." A wave of realization washed over her. Each challenge set before her father was an echo of the struggle she faced within herself. The discomfort he felt mirrored her own uncertainties as she wrestled with her ambitions, her sense of identity. Turning to David, she sought his input. "You once worked closely with him. You might have insight that could help break this barrier." Her assertiveness caught even her off guard. David shifted his weight, eyeing her father for a response. "If you let her in, it can be a step toward healing, Keith. You've spent years trying to protect her from guilt you felt. But what if it's time to help her find empowerment in understanding? Your past doesn't define her future. It's a part of it, yes, but also a lesson." Maya could see her father's internal struggle,
the mounting pressure between the instinct to protect and the responsibility to empower. "That's the crux of it, Dad," she pressed, grappling with the urgency of the moment. "I want the pieces of you, the parts you believe are ugly. I need to see how you confronted struggles. I want to replicate that strength." Tension simmered in the air, thickening as Keith weighed his next move. "I didn't always make the right choices," he confessed, voice lower now, revealing vulnerability she hadn't expected from him. "I let fear guide me, fear of loss, fear of failure. I distanced myself from my past because I was ashamed of the way I handled things." Maya's heart pounded, sensing a breakthrough. "But those experiences, however messy, could teach us so much. They could be the foundation of my future, even if they hurt. I want to build something from that, a legacy that embraces all parts of our family." David nodded appreciatively, recognizing the weight of Maya's resolve. It takes courage to confront the past. It takes resilience to turn those moments into fuel for future growth. Suddenly, Maya felt a shift within herself. She was no longer just a participant in this unveiling. She was an architect of her own future, a force of change willing to navigate the difficult waters of family history. Each detail she uncovered wasn't just about her father. It was a stepping stone toward her own liberation. Her father's eyes flickered with a glimmer of acceptance. Maybe, just maybe, he could see the merit in her perspective. "Okay," he finally conceded, the tension loosening around him. "Let's dismantle this wall, brick by brick. I'll share my choices, my regrets. Let's navigate this together." But just as relief washed over her, breaking the invisible barriers, a loud ringtone erupted from David's phone, slicing through their fragile moment. David answered brusquely, his demeanor instantly shifting as he listened intently, tension creeping back into the air. Maya caught her breath, realizing the battle against their past was far from over. This disruption felt like an omen, another unexpected turn waiting at the edge of their conversation. The struggle for growth would demand focus and resilience. Intricacies of her journey were poised to reveal themselves in ways she had yet to comprehend. What could this newfound alliance between her father and David lead to? How much more would she need to uncover to propel forward? The answers lay just beyond her grasp, each moment a reminder that the past had a way of bleeding into the present. The reconnecting bond was precarious, and uncertainty sent ripples through her mind. Maya steeled herself for the unexpected as silence fell around them again. What more would she learn, and would she find the clarity she so desperately sought? The next challenge was beckoning, and she could feel it looming ahead. Maya's heart raced as she turned her attention back to David, now absorbed in his phone call, his expression a mask of concentration. An urgent whisper of tension hung in the air like a warning. The fragile openness they'd started to explore could fracture at any moment. As she awaited David's response, she seized the moment to gather her thoughts. She was aware this discussion could act as a springboard for her own transformation. Maya recognized in herself a newfound determination to face whatever came next, both for her father and for her own evolution. She needed to harness this momentum, but first she needed to ground herself. "Maya, listen carefully." David's voice broke through her reverie, intense yet composed. "I'll need to go for a while. There's an urgent situation I have to attend to." The weight of that admission did little to reassure her. It felt like a sudden gust of wind sweeping through the room, threatening to extinguish the flickering flame of dialogue they had just ignited. "David, wait," she urged, refusing to let the thread of connection fray completely. "You've been pivotal in this. What if I face my father alone? The ground we just covered feels essential, but I fear stepping into it without you." Her voice trembled slightly, revealing just how fragile her resolve was in that moment. David paused, his eyes softening as he weighed her plea. "You need to find your voice without me, Maya. Courage doesn't come from having a safety net. It comes when you walk the tightrope alone." His words resonated deep, echoing between her heartbeat and the air of the room. They were both terrifying and freeing. Maya opened her mouth to protest, but he continued. You already have the strength within you, and I believe in your ability to confront your father while digging into your past. This is about forging new paths, not relying on others to guide you through them. Trust your instincts. His conviction wrapped around her and fortified her. With every ounce of resolve she could find, she nodded, steeling herself for what lay ahead. You're right. Before he left, he glanced back over his shoulder, his brow furrowed, as if he were keeping a safe distance from the looming changes. Okay, but I expect an update. I want to hear what comes next. With that, he left her standing alone, and the departure left Maya vulnerable, yet oddly invigorated. Turning back to her father, she hesitated. Keith was still absorbed in his thoughts, the emotional tempest hanging between them begging to be released. She took a breath and stepped closer. Dad, I know there's more we need to uncover together. You're not alone in this. I want to share the burden of understanding. Please, let's keep going. Keith looked up, surprise etched across his face. You really mean that, don't you? The wariness in his tone shifted into cautious curiosity, a crack in the facade he had upheld for so long. Yes, your past is a part of my legacy. I want to know all of it, every struggle, every decision. I'm ready to listen, but we have to do this now, while the door is still open. His gaze seemed to travel through her to some distant memory. You might not like what you hear, Maya. Then I'll face that too, she declared, her voice growing stronger. I need to grow, swallow the truths, even the ugly ones. It's time. With a slow nod, Keith paused, a flicker of a smile breaking through the tension. There are things I've never shared, choices that haunt me. Maya felt excitement and trepidation intertwine. This was it. The depth of their journey together was about to plunge into revelations she could not predict. As he began to speak, Maya braced herself for uncharted territory, every word promising to unveil layers of her father's identity that had been cloistered away far too long. The moment was ripe with possibility, but with it came the unease of what those revelations might entail. How deeply rooted were the fears and regrets that bound them? Each truth had the potential to shatter or forge anew. But with determination coursing through her veins, she found herself ready to uncover the next piece of the puzzle. With each revelation, would she find the empowerment she craved, or would it lead her to question everything she knew about herself? The tension thickened around them, and as her father began to recount his story, Maya sensed the stirrings of a different fight within herself. Would that fight yield understanding and growth, or would it ultimately confront her deepest fears, demanding more than she had anticipated? The unfolding of truth was at hand, and she welcomed the chaos of possibility. Maya's heart pounded as she watched her father gather his thoughts, his gaze distant as if he were rummaging through an attic of memories. In that quiet moment, her mind raced. This encounter could shatter the walls of their estranged relationship or fortify them. She gripped the edge of the table, a desperate anchor in the tide of uncertainty that surged around them. Dad, I'm ready for the truth, she urged, her voice steadier than she felt. No more hiding, just tell me. What I need to know. Keith took a deep breath, the kind that signaled the beginning of something profound. His eyes flickered with regret and fear. There are truths that burden me, things I wish I could change, he began, his voice barely above a whisper. When I was younger, I made choices, not just for myself, but for our family. Choices that have had consequences. As he spoke, Maya anchored herself in his words, determined to absorb every detail. She could feel the weight of his unspoken burdens pressing down upon her. But instead of retreating, she leaned in closer. What kind of choices, Dad? Each question felt monumental, their significance pressing her forward. The decisions I made when your mother and I were separating, he said, his voice breaking slightly. The choices I made, believing they were for your good, actually drove a wedge between us. I didn't think you'd understand then, and I didn't want to hurt you." Maya's stomach tightened. This revelation was expected, yet completely unsettling. "What didn't I understand? What were your reasons?" He hesitated, his remorse palpable. "There were financial struggles that clouded our decisions. I thought leaving might shield you from our fights, but instead it painted a distorted picture of family in your mind, a break that felt insurmountable." Maya recoiled. Every word exposed layered truths, revealing the tangled bonds of familial love and sacrifice. "So, you left to protect me? You thought leaving would make things better?" With downcast eyes, he nodded. "In retrospect, I see my cowardice. I assumed running away from conflict would spare you pain, but I see now that it only created confusion. I went into damage control mode, failing to realize that you wanted my honesty, not my silence." Each revelation laid bare the vulnerability she had sensed in him. She felt her own heart constrict. The burden of truth was shifting from her father's shoulders to hers. "I need to understand. I'm not a child anymore. I can handle the reality." Keith's eyes widened, astonished at her defiance. "Maya, it's not just about the past, but the choices that brought us to each other on this day. I want to be honest, but I fear losing you." Her resolve stiffened. "I won't disappear, Dad, but you have to confront this darkness with me." She wasn't just uncovering familial secrets, she was reclaiming her own narrative. Were these shadows of their shared past what crafted her present self? He squinted in contemplation, battling an internal war of acceptance. "I often thought sharing the truth would ruin what little connection we had left. But perhaps you're right. It's time to confront the ghosts together. But are you sure you want this?" Maya squared her shoulders, determined to face whatever lay ahead. "Yes, I need to understand how you became who you are. It feels essential to my own growth." The fire inside her ignited her voice with authority, and for the first time, she could see the flicker of pride in his expression. As he began to share tales of his struggles, his missteps, and his pain, Maya felt a thrill of empowerment. These stories weren't just shadows. They were pieces of her lineage that she could confront, dissect, and transform into something stronger. But each new layer brought with it the chilling specter of remorse. Would she be able to reconcile those choices with her need for a solid familial foundation? Would confronting his past strengthen their bond or unravel everything she thought she knew? The emotional weight of the unearthing truth filled the space between them, growing heavier with anticipation. Every revelation promised to reshape the contours of their relationship. Yet, a question lingered unresolved in Maya's mind. What other secrets were she yet to unearth? Each regret seemed to carry with it a thread that potentially could either bind them tighter or sever ties permanently. As new layers unfolded, Maya braced herself for the yet unknown, aware that the journey was far from over. Would unearthing her father's past become a catalyst for healing or a downward spiral into chaos? The stakes had risen, and she was being pulled into a whirlwind where the essence of their new connection tested the very foundation of their familial identity. Maya sat at the table, absorbing each word her father unveiled. The air pulsed with a desperate need for understanding, both for herself and for him. The story poured out like a slow river, trickling through the cracks of their unresolved history. "I thought leaving would shield you from our toxic arguments," Keith confessed, but all it did was draw a line in the sand. His voice trembled with honesty, and I never realized how much that line would cost us. Maya felt the weight of his regret weighing heavily on her heart, and yet, within that sadness lay the seeds of necessary change. "Your choices became echoes in my life," she replied, articulating her own revelations. "They shaped how I viewed relationships, and you know what? It stifled me." "What do you mean?" he asked, eyes narrowing in curiosity. "I lived in an environment that didn't recognize vulnerability or conflict resolution. I equated distance with safety. I thought being alone was strength, she admitted, a sobering clarity dawning on her. But I understand now that it was just a way to mask my fears. The shifting dynamics felt electric. Here they were, finally dismantling an emotional prison wrought from silence, confusion, and shame. Keith's gaze flickered with understanding. I didn't protect you. I isolated you. I see that now. But it scares me, Maya. This isn't just about us. I fear your disappointment. I've grown, Dad. I'm learning that complexity doesn't mean failure, she insisted. Disappointment can be transformed into growth if we face it together. You wanted to be my protector, but instead you built walls. I never knew how to be the father you needed, he whispered, and I never understood how to ask for help.
Father, she said softly, her eyes locking onto his. The distance, the conflict, it was historically entrenched, but now they were standing on the brink of change. Maya felt a rush of empowerment. It was exhilarating, this shift from despair to possibility. They were traversing new ground, navigating toward healing instead of running from their shared pain. The power wasn't just in what was being said. It was in the acknowledgement that they could reconstruct their bond, piece by hard-earned piece. Can we really start fresh? He asked, voice laced with vulnerability. Yes, the past will always exist, but it doesn't have to define us, she affirmed. What matters is how we choose to move forward. I want that too, he replied, determination seeping into his voice. I don't want to miss another moment with you. Then we'll create new moments, she encouraged. Let's reclaim this journey, together. In that instant, Maya recognized her transformation was diverging from mere acceptance into genuine empowerment. She was learning to articulate desires and grieve past grievances, a skill essential for her blooming identity. As her father finally leaned into the emotion, she saw recognition in his gaze, the realization that vulnerability could lead to strength rather than weakness. Let's make a pact, she proposed, her heart throbbing with conviction. Moving forward, let's agree to share not just the good, but all the layers, the fears, the failures, the triumphs. Together, he echoed, a firm commitment forming between them. Maya beamed with pride. Yes, together. No more distance. We can start with one day, just like we agreed. Tears welled in her father's eyes. I'm willing, Maya. I want to know you deeply, without the fear of unraveling. As they both sat in silence for a moment, contemplating their renewed commitment, she felt imbued with solid confidence. The chasm that once separated them felt smaller, almost surmountable. Keith's next words rang with the finality of promise. Thank you for being brave. I've wasted too much of my life shutting myself off. I see now that I've lost sight of what truly matters. Maya nodded, heart swelling. We can achieve a deeper connection by daring to confront our histories. That's how our story evolves. They left the cafe hand in hand, each step cementing their pact. Witnessing each other's growth fostered a newfound respect, an understanding that they were ready to build a relationship founded on transparency and love. As they stepped outside, the golden sun broke through the clouds, casting a warm glow. The very essence of new beginnings surrounded them. She felt a sense of fulfillment, the kind that stemmed from achieving something meaningful through hard work and genuine dialogue. Can we schedule our next meeting? Maya asked. There's still so much to discuss. Absolutely. I want to prioritize you in my life, now and always, Keith replied warmly, the eroded barriers finally giving way to connection. Thus, together, they forged ahead into uncharted territory, not as mere remnants of the past, but as two people committed to overcoming their struggles, determined to pave a path towards authenticity and belonging. Maya's journey of discovery was just beginning, but this time she wasn't alone. The day had transformed them both, revealing a courage that was intricately woven into their shared narrative. This was more than a resolve, it was an evolution. One day, one heartfelt conversation had rippled through the very fabric of their lives. They had entered the realm of genuine understanding, opening doors to countless possibilities. Maya felt elated. She had crossed the Rubicon, leaving behind a shadowy past. And now, standing firm before an uncertain future, she was ready to embrace everything that came next. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below your reactions and theories about this incredible journey. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion.